Good. Probably doesn't need introduction to some of you, or maybe all of you, but it is. He's known affectionately to us as Kitey and to a lot of other people. The Yarn Whisperer. Now, I am going to say what I think you do, Kitey. You are a indie yarn dyer. That's how I will start with. But I want you to tell us much more about what you do and how you got into it. And we can all ask you questions. I've got a few that I want to ask before we get going. But if you don't mind, I'm going to spotlight you.
Yeah, so that's fine.
There we go. And if we run out of questions, I'm sure I know that you can keep talking for England. So I'm sure we won't. We won't run out of time.
Thank you for your honesty. Yeah.
So everybody, this is Andrew.
Hi,
over to you.
Hello. Oh, okay. So I'll probably start with, yes, I am an indie yarn dyer, but the Yarn Whisperer didn't start as that. So I started crocheting in 2014. And the Yarn Whisperer Instagram account, which is kind of, it's sort of, I don't know, it happened sort of organically, but basically came about because my friends on Instagram were getting sick of me spamming them with yarn and crochet. So I decided I'd set up another Instagram to kind of house that stuff. And then, yeah, it started as crochet, really. It was just a place to put pictures of stuff I was making. I started initially doing a lot of amigurumi, which we were talking about today, in our course call, but also granny squares and blankets and all sorts. And then let me see.
Why did you start crochet?
It's a bit of a sad story. You ready?
It usually is.
I'll abridge it.
Okay.
I had my wife and I split up. I had a Christmas where I didn't have my son, but I was meant to have my son. So I was meant to have him. We get on brilliantly. So we're still all in each other's lives and stuff. It's really weird mixed modern family now. But I'm all for that. I was meant to have him for Christmas, and he wanted to go and spend time with his cousins. And she's Greek Cypriot, so there's like a big Greek family. Yeah. So I agreed, but it meant I had Christmas by myself because my then partner, now husband, was over in Jersey, where I am now, at Christmas with his family. So I was only ever doing Christmas with this family every 2 years. It was I was splitting my time. So I was in London by myself, and so that's the sad bit, right? So, and I'd had some crochet hooks off my birth mother when she passed away about 7 years before that, and they'd just been sitting in a drawer, and I was kind of like, I need to teach myself this because it just felt like a connection with
that.
So I literally bought in a load of food and cocktail mixers. And had a Christmas with like 5 days of doing absolutely anything I wanted to do, which meant basically I sat there and taught myself to crochet.
Excellent.
And that's kind of how it happened. And then, yeah, I just got really into it. So I've crocheted all sorts of things. Blankets. There's a blanket behind me, in fact. This was made for my mother-in-law a couple of Christmases back now. And it actually matches this picture. So
wow.
She painted that picture in the living room. So I picked out the colours, including that brilliant coral orangey colour on the boat up there. And I crocheted a blanket for her for Christmas. Blankets obviously take a really long time, so I don't sell them. I only ever give them away. So most of the family have one. So yeah.
You do seem quite prolific in your making, though, I have to say.
I'm a constant, like I have whips on the go. So I have currently 2, 3 crochet projects on the go. A couple of them I've left because I'm in Jersey at the minute. I've got stuff in London, and bicontinental or whatever, but like there's whips everywhere. And I knit now as well. So I have 2 knitting projects on the go as well. One of them's secret, so I can't show you.
Okay.
Because I'm test knitting now. This is the first big test knit I've done, and it's brilliant, but I can't show you. But I also knit now. I taught myself to knit in the pandemic.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
as a lot of people did.
Yeah, but in between 2014 and let's say 2019, I was crocheting and I was working as a primary teacher. I was teaching out in the Middle East from 2016 through 2019. And then I came back from the Middle East and was kind of like, I didn't want to do teaching anymore, but I was doing supply teaching. And then the pandemic hit. And just prior to that, we'd had a holiday and I'd expressed the fact I didn't want to teach anymore because I did nearly 30 years. And my other half said, well, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to make that, pointing at some padron peppers. We were in Spain, but in yarn. And he said, well, what do you mean? Like the shapes, like that's weird. You're not going to sell much of that. And I was like, no, like the colors are fabulous and I want to make that. So he said, well, why don't you just do it? So I bought some yarn and some dye and just had a play. And just before the pandemic, I just started to sell stuff. So I literally opened Yarn Whisperer as the dyer in January of 2020. Okay. And we all know what happened in February. Yeah. So the world changed. I got thrown off my supply teaching contract, so they didn't have to pay furlough. But they did me a favor because I then had to.
Sometimes things happen for a reason, don't they?
So then I threw myself into dyeing and selling. It was hard at the beginning because I had no base of customers or whatever, and I was trying to sell stuff over the internet, which is really difficult when it's something squishy that you want to hold and touch and smell, because yarn smells amazing. And yeah, so that's kind of what I did. So, and then I started doing virtual shows because that's the way the world had gone, and did my first live shows in must have been 21 or 22 anyway. And now I do live shows, maybe 4 live shows a year, and I'm currently doing I've got a commission that's just about to go live next month for the Crochet Sanctuary up in Crewe. So I'm designing now for people, and
amazing.
Yeah, it's and all coming from just I need to learn this particular Christmas.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic, isn't it?
From there, really, yeah.
So it must have been a huge learning curve, all the dyeing stuff and types of yarn and all that.
Yeah, the dyeing stuff's brilliant though, because that for me I'd done a bit of dyeing when I was at uni. So when I was at uni in the 90s, for teaching, I did I majored in art. So I never really taught as an art teacher because there were never any jobs in it, but that was where my fun was as such. And we'd done a bit of natural dyeing back there, so I kind of had the basics of how to dye something. Dyeing yarn is quite different to dyeing fabric, and dyeing natural, which is what I did at uni, and dyeing acid dyes, which is what I do now, is quite different processes completely. But I just kind of watch loads of YouTube videos, and then it's more about experimenting, because I kind of still maintain that every dyer does things a little bit differently, and you're not buying blue yarn per se, you're buying the dyer's artistic process of that blue yarn. Because if I give the same amount of yarn, the same amount of blue dye to 50 dyers, we'll all come up with something different, because we all use different techniques, even though we've got kind of basic touches that are similar. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's what I love about it, because it's an artistic expression. So it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Okay, so where do you source your base yarns from then? go
all
about that?
over. I use there's probably four or five that I can think of off the top of my head, suppliers in the UK. If you fancy having a go yourself, you just look up undyed yarn on the internet, and you can even use just plain coloured yarn that you buy at the shops. You can over dye things.
Okay.
So yeah, undyed yarn. I use two main suppliers. I use Wooltops and Chester Wool. Most dyers use Chester Wool. I also use Wooltops because I have a couple of, I haven't got any examples to show you, but I can certainly go on my Instagram and you'll see lots of examples. But I have really big hanks, 500-gram hanks of Guernsey 5-ply that I dye up. And they come from Wooltops because they were the only people that did the 500 grams when I was looking for them.
Okay.
There. And then Chester does all sorts of yarn from lace weight right through to
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So it just depends what you're looking for. I've got, like, they do sparkle yarn, so there's like a thread of stellina in there, which is like sparkly gold or silver.
So can you get the yarns, with the nylon in for, like soft yarns?
Oh, really easily. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And usually they're sold in kilogram bags. So if you've got 100-gram skeins, you get 10 skeins in a bag. If you 20-gram minis, you'll get 50 of those.
Yeah.
So they're usually sold in kilogram lots. The big suppliers have usually kind of like it's not really a restriction, but a minimum order quantity. To get a wholesale price, you need to buy more than 6 kilos or whatever. So it does add up. But you can, Chester Wool has a website, and I can't think of it off the top of my head.
No, we'll find it.
Blue-faced. It is, isn't it? Rachel, you're here. You know.
Rachel's here somewhere.
Blueface,
yeah.
So Blueface is their kind of retail website. You can just go there and buy a couple of skeins. So you can.
Here we are. Catherine's put it up there for us.
Yeah, Chester Wool is the company I'm talking about when I say Chester. And yeah.
Do you run workshops?
Well, this is one of the things that I'm planning on. As an ex-teacher, the teaching part's big for me. So teaching crochet has been an avenue that I've ended up in.
Yeah.
And the natural thing for me to do would be to teach dyeing.
I'd love to have a go.
Yeah,
I know Munira, haven't you been on a dyeing thing? You were telling us about it. Yeah.
I've got quite a few friends who've said that they'd really like to try that, and a few friends who've actually done other people's courses and loved it. And it gives them appreciation of just how much goes into the process. So it is something I'm looking at doing. I'm trying to find a space, in fact, at the moment, because I still dye.
I'm on mute, but I've got a space.
Oh yeah.
You do, actually. We need to chat.
Yeah.
Once I'm back in London, we will chat. I'm coming up for coffee at some point, my darling. It's already in the diary in my head. So yeah, I'm looking for a space because I still dye out of my kitchen, and it's tiny. So I dye, everything that I do is in my kitchen, which is not ideal. I'm in a two-bedroom flat. It's a really tiny kitchen.
Is it very messy? I think I'd get very
I'm
messy.
very tidy.
Okay.
You might not agree, but I'm very tidy.
You see, I'm not.
I've turned the kitchen though before, and it's not fun. It's
okay. I'd love to come along. Anyway, so Nessa and Katie, get that organised. I'd love to do a yarn dyeing workshop. Absolutely. That'd be great.
I'm looking for my own kind of studio retail teaching space. That's kind of what. So I have been looking around recently, and it's just a case of finding somewhere that can do all of those things and is easy enough to get to, and isn't so cost prohibitive that I then have to sell so much yarn to keep it up. So but that's the plan.
Excellent. And would you say business is going well? You think?
It's not going badly. No complaints here. I was sitting in a restaurant in Jersey yesterday having Sunday lunch, and I got an order, and I literally just went, I've just made some money, and I'm eating my dessert. It's really lovely. So No, I'm no complaints. It's tough at the minute, I'm not going to lie. And part of the reason why I've always looked at doing more than just dyeing yarn is that I can weather all of those different bits, you know what I mean? So I've moved into making stitch markers and notions and supplying some basic bits and bobs, but really it's lovely passive income because you just buy things once, make something. I can sit down and make, I don't know, shawl cuffs, for example. I can sit down and make 50 of those in a day, and then I've just got them as stock going forward, you know. So it's just, when it comes to showtime and stuff, I've already got some bits and pieces under control, as it were.
Do you have your own website, or what do you sell through? You've got your own website.
Yarnwhisperer.co.uk is my website.
Okay.
It's a lot, putting it like constantly trying to keep it updated and up to date. Stock taking after a show is like,
I can imagine.
And so it's a lot fitting things in, and this time of year is really tricky because well, I'm here for a start, so that's not helped, but it's Advent season, so most dyers are busy dyeing up Advents. We've been working on those since February, March, you know what I mean? Like it's the whole thing. And they've all got to go out really by the end of this month so that they don't get stuck in. So we never have the 2021 mail drama that we had for Advents, because that was just awful. Stuck everywhere. Yeah, but it's good. Everything's going well, and as I say, I've got commission for the Crochet Sanctuary, which is coming up, and so I'll go up there, I'll teach it, teach the pattern. It's a secret pattern, so I can't show you that either. I'd sound awful when I'm talking about this stuff because people keep saying tease, and it's like, I can't help it. Like, you're contractually bound to stay silent on stuff, and it's like I have to do other whips to make sure I've got stuff to show on the Instagram. So,
it's hard not to. I mean, I've had some recently for a magazine, and I've so wanted to show.
Yeah, and you just can't. But that's okay. That's fine. It's part of the deal.
Excellent. Oh, I love it. And I'm looking forward to doing some yarn dyeing. Right, you lovely folks. Who wants to have a chat?
Please ask questions.
Yeah, let me take you off spotlight, then I can see who else is here. Oh, Karen's waving.
Hello.
Hello, Karen.
Hi.
Hi, Karen.
I'm loving hearing about all the dyeing stuff. I actually had a brief encounter with dyeing, but it nearly ended in divorce because my house smelled of sheep and vinegar.
Oh, it does,
yeah. So like, how do you set the colours? Do you use vinegar? What do you use?
I use citric acid.
Right.
So you can buy citric acid in big tubs, like powdered citric acid.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like sugar crystals.
I think we've got some in a bath bomb kit, actually.
Yeah, it's the same sort of stuff you use, and it's I use food safe stuff. The dyes themselves are not food safe, so working in the kitchen's not ideal. You have to keep everything separate.
Yeah.
You don't ever use the same pan you dye yarn in to cook your pasta. You know, you've got to keep them separate. But the citric acid itself is fine, and I find that it doesn't have a smell. It's not terrible. You can't get over the wet yarn smell.
No,
it is there. You just have to air the place out a lot of the time. So yeah.
Oh, thank you. I might give it another go one day.
Oh yeah, do. It's such fun. And there's, like I said, there's so many different ways of doing it. So my technique, I tend to use a bit more water than most people, because I like when you can. I'm happy to share this. I use a glass rod dipped in dye. So wet the glass end of the glass rod, dip it in dye, and I almost use it like a paintbrush in the water, and you get these kind of swirls of color through the water, and it makes the yarn sometimes a little bit less predictable. But I do a lot of stuff with color theory because that's where back in the day learned. So I know that, for example, I can put pink with little bits of yellow, and I'll get kind of a lovely orangey color. And if I use the UV pink, I get kind of a really lovely, almost UV orange out of that. And then I can get kind of swirls. I call them shadows. So I can get shadows of color going through rather than blocky parts of color. But then I'm not averse to resting my yarn on the bain-marie or the pan with big chopsticks, resting so that some of the yarn is out of the water and blocking areas with a particular dye, and then over dyeing it with something else. So there's lots of different techniques you can play with.
That's great.
And it just depends what you want to kind of create, really.
Yeah.
Oh no, that sounds good. I used Wilton food colours because that's what I'd got from birthday cakes.
Yeah.
So I just used that.
People in America talk about using Jello, so Kool-Aid, like that. It's food coloring essentially. So anything with food coloring will work. And then you need something to fix it. So you need an acid to fix it, and heat to set the color to make the bonds work.
I think that's what did it. It was putting it in the microwave that did it, I think.
Yeah. That would be the heat.
Thank you.
Cool. Where's Munira gone? I can't see her because I know where did you go on a course, Munira? You did one workshop, didn't you?
Yeah, there's a really fantastic craft shop near where I live in Betchworth, and she sells mainly yarn, but she also caters for most other crafts, but mainly sort of crochet and knit. And she's got like a back room which is quite big, that she runs lots of different classes. She does yarn dyeing, yarn spinning, learn to crochet, learn to knit, amongst other things, punch needle, felting. And I did her little intro into yarn. I actually did yarn dyeing on my textile design degree, but that was 30 years ago. And I have no idea, I cannot remember anything about it.
Yeah.
So and it was actually reasonably priced for sort of like a half-day course, and you came away with 3 20-gram little skeins, and it was just a lot of fun. But obviously the way that you guys are doing it in your barbs, it wasn't anything like that. We were literally just hand painting these little skeins. And the reason I nodded at Messy is because she just had a plastic like tablecloth, and everyone just put their skeins on the tablecloth, and we had our little pot of water with the citric acid, and we'd add dyes to it, and then we were sort of she sort of showed us 3 kind of types of ways of dyeing, so dipping, and then like when you sprinkle, and then hand painting. But yeah, it kind of went everywhere, but yeah. Fine. And then she used she's got a Russell Hobbs 3-tier steamer, which she just put all our skeins in. But I actually did some in the summer with one of my friends who I did the course with. She came over in the summer with her daughter, and we'd bought some skeins from the shop that were black, like greyish, whatever, or how you call it. And so we had a go. So I've actually done 200-gram skeins.
Wow.
They turned out nothing like I intended, but I didn't really know what I was doing. I was like, I just bung a bit of that in and bit of that, but actually I'm really pleased with it. So I'll end up making something, and it was with 4-ply merino.
It's all a bit experimental. But then that's the beauty of it. Like you get, I guess, Rachel's probably the same. You get into the way you do it, but we also have a number of, like, if I'm dyeing Advents, for example, I'll use maybe 4 different techniques because it depends what I want to get in the final result. Like, I know if I do certain things, then it kind of looks like that. So then I just have to adjust the colors or change the amount of acid or whatever.
Yeah, I can see how it's a real science, but also it allows you to be really creative.
Yeah,
I'd love to do more of it, but we made such a mess in my kitchen.
Yeah.
Just honestly, it was like my other half came and he's like, what the hell have you been doing? I'm like, don't worry, it will be cleaned up.
Yeah. This is how I turned the kitchen pink. I'd spilt a load of mixed up dye. and
Yeah,
it
we've
takes
got pink
forever to
floor.
get out. So yeah, it can be really messy.
What does the steamer do then? What's the steamer for?
Well, that's just the heat. So you need the basic triangle for yarn dyeing. You need water. That's the medium for the dyes to mix around and stuff. Although you can paint dry dye straight onto yarn, but you need a bit of water to help it, get there. Heat to fix it, and an acid to help the bonds. Because basically, especially with acid dyeing, it's you have to use protein fiber, and there is a science behind it. It's about breaking the bonds that are there, so that then the dye bonds can fix to the bonds in the fiber, can fix to the fiber and stay there. And certain colors are really difficult to make stick. Red, it always washes out in the wash because they've got really weak bonds. So and you don't need much pink, for example. Like if I put magenta in, it's a really small amount of magenta because it goes everywhere and it takes like a month to get it out of the dye bath again. Because I
discovered that.
Rachel's laughing because she knows my pain. So it's you learn, and doing it lots, you learn about what the dyes are doing that you're using, so you can kind of use that to your advantage. So I have some colorways where if I'm dyeing pink, there's other colorways I can dye on the back of those dye baths to help get the pink out of the dye bath.
Wow.
Because I can use it on other colors that I've got set up, which are maybe a pink.
Fascinating.
And so it's just how you play with it and what you get used to.
I was actually due to go to a yarn dyeing workshop at a wool shop that I used to teach at, just as the pandemic hit, and then of course everything shut down, and she, bless her, she never managed to open again. She had to just give it up, and it's something else now. Such a shame.
It's a shame.
So I was really looking forward to that, but I will do it someday.
Well, I will hopefully run them someday. So that is the plan. It's in the plan, and it's
excellent.
I'm hoping next year I'll be able to do
cool.
Yeah.
And of course you're adding another branch to your bow, aren't you, at the moment?
Yes, I'm doing the Tech Editors course for crochet, which seemed like a natural, because crochet is where I started. I still feel like I'm a real beginner in knitting. So although I'm doing a test knit at the moment, and that's been a real learning curve because there were no pictures to help me, no videos to help me. It was just the pattern and go. I've learned lots doing it, and I've actually realized I've learned quite a lot in the last couple of years about knitting that I didn't think I knew, but I've managed to do it. So but the Crochet Tech Editors course just seemed like the natural beginning of that journey. And again, it's about adding, because if you think about my yarn and bits and bobs, it's all product based, and it takes a lot of time of my time to make the products. But in cooking yarn, because that's how I think of it while it's literally cooking to set the colors, I've got time then to do other stuff. So I crochet or I knit or I design, or maybe I can tech edit. So it's kind of like adding the service bit to that. And then I'm the kind of person that I multitask quite well. So I do lots of things at the same time and have them all. I'm juggling everything. But
well, I think in this industry, I think you need to, really, to be honest.
Yeah.
If you really want to make it your business, then, the more diversification you can do, I think is good. Yeah.
So that's where we are at the minute.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Right. Anybody else want to have a chat? Is everybody on mute? Yeah, everybody's on mute. So
I can show you some Ami that I've got here.
Oh, I'm going to spotlight you again, actually. Oh.
This is Dave. Dave, he's a Toft pattern. Yeah. So, and we were talking about safety eyes today. These are game changer. Just 3 stitches to make that amazing. But so that's Dave. And just before I came here, so a couple of weeks back now, we were at the Natural History Museum crocheting a dodo in the gallery, in the bird gallery by the dodo. It was
Oh, it's
amazing.
what is it?
So that's a dodo.
Dodo. Yeah, of course it is.
So, and look at his feet. Aren't they the best thing ever? I mean, look at that.
Fantastic.
So I've got them on a skewer because I'm actually thinking of wiring the feet. So I'm going to put, so
Okay.
and I just have a tail to do.
Oh, so cute.
Yeah. So there you go. A couple of Ammies.
Anyway, I think you've got a little. Have you got a little offer for our people watching today?
I have. I'm going to let you jump on to my website, and you are going to be. I just need to turn it on when I get off this call. So give me a couple of moments.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give you 20% off anything on my website if you use the code.
Yeah. I'm trying to get into the chat, but I'm not doing very well.
I can put it in the chat now. Hang on.
Right. Okay.
Let me put it in the chat. It won't open. Here we are. So code, all capitals.
Okay.
Kitey sent me. And you are welcome to 20% off. And that offer is going to run for the rest of this month. So
okay, that's very
today.
Very kind of you.
Yeah, there is some yarn on there. I haven't before I was dyeing so many advents the week before I came back. All my advents are finally dyed, hurrah. But I was literally dyeing them the last before we left. They're drying at the minute. So I didn't get to put everything that was in stock on my website just before I went. I can put the site address there. 2 seconds. I'm doing that now. So it's just yarnwhisperer.co.uk. Okay, and if you use the code Kitey sent me at checkout, you'll be able to get 20% off. But like I said, give me a moment once we finish so that I can actually turn it on, because I've realized I haven't turned it on yet, but it's ready and set up for you. So
that's very kind of you.
That's all right. Pleasure.
May I interrupt and ask a question, please?
Of course you can.
Advents. You're talking about advents. I'm really ignorant. I don't know what they are.
Okay, so a yarn advent is just like a chocky advent or a tea advent or a gin advent. You basically get a little parcel of yarn to open every day through Advent. So lots of dyers offer them. We offer them at different times in the year. I tend to offer mine early on in the year, and then this is my 3rd year of them. And I do my advents a little bit different. So normally a lot of dyers do like 20-gram mini skeins. Some dyers offer 10-gram mini skeins. I've seen that before. Some dyers do 400-gram skeins, so like Advent Sunday. I offer 2 kits. So I offer a 12 Days of Christmas kit, which is obviously 1 to 12. Some people like to get 2 of those and have that for their Advent. Other people like to do it from Christmas Day onwards for 12 days. So I offer those, and then I offer a 25 skein full Advent. But I do, in the 25 kit, I have 22 20-gram mini skeins and then 300-gram skeins. You
could make quite a lot with that.
That's
then.
such a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, you can make it's 740 grams of yarn. I've made a huge Stephen West shawl out of one before, out of my last year's Advent, in fact. I have a customer who made a bobble cardigan, about 5 pairs of socks, and a couple of other things with her kit.
Wow.
So you get quite a lot of yarn in that. And then there's usually a few little handmade treats that I throw in there, stitch markers, that kind of thing. So yeah.
It's a lovely idea.
I had no idea. Thank you.
Yeah. They, like I said, they offered any time from, people start talking about them in February, March. I have like a pre-order and I do some of them, and then usually I dye extras. So there are probably 10 kits that will be going begging in probably beginning to middle of November. So basically I dye extras so that if anything gets lost in the post, I've got one ready to send to the person. But once all my Advents have gone out and they've all arrived safely at their destinations, I offer the others up for sale.
Cool.
Yeah.
And
I like
is
the
that-
idea
is
of that.
Is that really popular? Is that quite a good,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I've got
Never
friends
heard
who
of it. I think it's great. I
sold out
love
in
the
24
idea.
hours. It depends how many you're going to sell. So I as I said already, I dye in my kitchen. So there's a capacity issue for me. So I don't think of it as an issue. It's just, this is what I can physically manage to make. Because it isn't just dyeing the yarn, it's drying it and then it's packing them all. It's a whole thing. So I think I've done something like, there was something like 900 or 1,000 this year. There was a lot. It was a lot. And they're all twisted and ready to go. I packed some of them. I've got some more to pack when I get back, and then I'm making the kits up, and the overseas kits will go first, and then the UK kits normally go out beginning of November, and they're normally in their destinations in about a week. So normally by the middle of November, I'm ready to send the other ones. Yeah, the spares. Yeah.
Fantastic. Oh, I might have to have a little look-see at that. Oh, like it.
Yeah.
Right. Thanks for asking that, Ruth. Anybody
Yeah, good
else?
question.
Brilliant. Oh, thanks a lot, Andrew. That's really, really great. I've
Absolutely
really
fine.
enjoyed chatting.
Yeah, it's good.
And I'm definitely having a look at your site.
Well, feel free.
Yeah.
There's no pressure, obviously. I don't judge. And I'm quite seriously though, if you've got any, I'm on Instagram all the time. So if you've got, and I tend to be on Instagram more than Facebook. So, but if you've got any questions, just message me and I'm happy to answer them. If there's questions about products, but also just general questions, anything you think of later after this session, feel free to ask, because yeah, I'm happy to chat, like you said.
Thank you. Thank you. That's great. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you very much.
My
Thanks for the
pleasure.
offer, says Jenny. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, folks. Well, nice to see you all again. And sorry this was short notice for some of you, but we'll get it sorted. Nice to see you all. All right, then. Thanks a lot, Andrew. And
That's my pleasure. Thank you, everybody.
we'll see you soon.
Good to see you.
Bye.
See you. Take care.